All right, today we're going to talk about how to set up custom forms for your TechSite Builder website and some reasons you might want to use custom forms for your website or for things like customer surveys or feedback forms, new client registration forms. So after a client contacts you, but before you go out for service, you might want to gather some information about them for your own records. You can use it for an event registration form. So say you're going to be teaching some classes and you want people to be able to register for those classes. You can create a form for that. You can create, even if you just want to create like a more robust contact form than the default one that comes with TechSite Builder. In that case, or for any other reason, if you want to create your own customized contact form, TechSite Builder comes with a form builder, and you can find that under the content menu in your dashboard, and it's the forms menu. So let's go ahead and click on that now and take a look. So when you click on forms, you'll see a list of the forms that you've created. If you haven't created any forms, then that list should be blank, and we can just go and click the new form button at the top. When we click the new form button, it's going to bring us to the form screen where we'll be able to see a preview of the form. This is also going to be where we can see who has filled out the form and get their information, and some other info here as well. From here, to create our form, we want to click the Manage Form button. That's going to open a pop-up window, the Manage Forms pop-up window, and this is where we can construct and build our customized form. So the way this is set up is on the left, you're going to see the different form fields and the different information that you can drag over to this middle section, which is going to represent our form. So this is going to show us all the different form fields that we have on the form that we're building. And then on the right-hand side, this is where we can edit the individual settings for our different form fields. So just really quick, going over some of the options we have on the left here for fields to add to our form. They're categorized into some basic categories. First are the standard fields. These are just generic form fields like single line of text, drop-down menu, checkboxes, radio buttons, a paragraph of text, a hidden field, or a file upload button. So these are all different ways that people can add information, fill out information on your form. Underneath that are special fields. When you click on that, it's going to show you some specific types of fields that you can add to your form. And the cool thing about these fields is that they are coded to only accept the type of information that they are designed for. So for example, the email form will only accept email addresses. If someone tries to type in like a phone number there, it's going to give them an error saying, oh no, we need to have an email address here. So it's going to validate these form fields. Things like email, name, date and time, website, physical address, phone number, and reCAPTCHA. What reCAPTCHA is this is the little checkbox that you can add to your form that validates that you are not a spammer. This is a technology that was created by Google, and it supposedly works very well. You do actually need to sign up for a CAPTCHA account, which is totally free. But in order for that to work on your form, you need to grab an API key. They give you some special code that you take after you sign up for reCAPTCHA, and then you can add it to this form field to get it to work on your form. And we'll go over that a little bit later. Underneath special fields is structure. This is where you can add just custom information like HTML or section headers to kind of break up your form if it's a very long form, or maybe to add an image or some kind of background to your form using the HTML there. Underneath that are form settings. This is where you enter all the administrative information about your form. And then underneath that is the form notifications. So this is where you go to set up who gets contacted whenever someone fills out this form, and how you're contacted. So we'll get to all of that in a sec. First, let's go ahead and just to kind of show you how this works, I want to put together a quick demo form for you. So let's say I'm creating a new client registration form. I want clients to send me their information before I schedule an appointment with them. So in order to do that, first I'd probably want to capture some basic information like their name. So I'll go to special fields and look for the name box, and then I'll just drag that over to the middle section here and let it go. So now I've added the name fields to my form. From here, I can edit by clicking on the name field box. And now on the right-hand side, you'll see I can edit some specific information about this form field. The top internal usage unique slug, that you normally just want to leave how it is. That's for internal purposes only. But the one thing you do want to fill out is the label. This is going to be the label that shows on the front end of the form. So you want to make sure this is descriptive. So you definitely don't want to just have it say field label. You want it to have something like, in this case, it's going to say name. The description is also something that's going to show up on the front end of your site. So if you want to add more information about what this form field actually means or what kind of information you're expecting from them, you can fill it out in the description. Right now, I'm just going to leave that blank. And then you can say whether or not you want this to be a required field. In this case, I do want the name to be required. Underneath that, you have the advanced area where you have some advanced information. For the name, you don't really have too much here, just the class name. This is for styling purposes. So if you want to add some customized CSS code, if you know what that means and you know how to do that, then this is where you would add your custom class. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to worry about that. And you just want to stick to the basic information. All right, so we have our name field set up. So the next thing I want to capture is some other information like, probably their email address. I want to probably get their physical address as well in case I want to mail them something or if I need to do an on-site visit, and their phone number. I'll drag that over as well. So you'll see all of these fields are now showing up in my form, and I can click on each one and edit it. So I do want to change the label for these. So the email label will be email. I can add a description there. Something like, we will never spam you, something like that. All right, and you see the description will show up underneath the form field. And then you can have an initial value, so you can fill in a predefined email address if you want. We're just going to leave that blank. We don't need that for now. Is this required? Yes or no? Does this require confirmation, meaning that the person has, the email has to be confirmed that it's a valid email before it will be accepted? In that case, oh no, I'm sorry, that's right. The require confirmation just means that they need to enter the email address twice just to make sure they typed it in right. This is good because sometimes people are typing fast and they mistype the email address, and then sometimes the email address is the only information you have to contact them with. In that case, you probably want to require that they confirm that email address by choosing yes. In my case, I'm just going to choose no. They can just enter it once because I'm going to capture some other information as well. So I'll go ahead and require that. Under advanced, you can also, in addition to the class name, you can have some placeholder text. So if I want to, like this, for example, says email@example.com, that just kind of prompts the person that's filling it out to know the format that they should be filling it out as. So I will fill that out there, and then as you can see now, the placeholder text has been customized to what I typed there. All right, and then address, same thing. If you click on that, you can edit some things about the address. The label, of course, we want to change. The type, you can either choose a United States or international address. If you choose international, then it's going to prompt for the country as well. In this case, I'm just going to keep it to United States. Do I want that to be required? I'll say yes. And then advanced, nothing there. And then the phone number, again, I want to change the label. You might want to add a description like this should be a cell phone or a landline or whatever you have there. Do you want to have initial value? What formatting? Either US format or, again, international format is an option. If you choose US formatting, then it's going to force the user to use an area code plus 7-digit format of number, whereas international, I don't think it's that strict about the formatting of the number. Is this required? I'll say no for the phone number. And then some other information. So say I wanted to ask them how they heard about my company. In that case, I can go up to the standard fields, and for this kind of information where I want them to choose just one option from a list of options, the best for that would be radio buttons. Radio buttons allow you to see all of the options and then only choose the one that you want to choose. They only have the option to choose one. So I'm going to drag the radio buttons over to the bottom here. Then I click on that to edit the information on the right-hand side. First, I want to change the label to "How did you hear about us?" I want to make this required. And underneath that, manage field choices. This is where you enter all of the different choices the person can choose. So the label is going to be what shows on the front end of the website. So in this case, I might want to say, did you hear about me from my newspaper ad? The value is going to be the value of the choice as it is stored in the database and also as it is sent to you in the notification email. 9 times out of 10, you just want the value to be the exact same thing as the label. So I'll just copy and paste that over here. And then I can add some new options just by hitting the plus button. And then I can add some new options. Say another option would be my website. Copy and paste that into the value spot as well. Then I'll add one more. I can say a referral. Of course, I'd probably want more than this, but just for time's sake, I'm making this a brief list. Then I can also choose one of these options to be selected by default, or I can leave them unselected. So if this is a required field, keep in mind that if this is a required field, then they will not be able to submit the form until they choose one of these options. So sometimes you want to have one chosen. In that case, you would check the box, and then you can see in the example in the middle, now that choice is pre-chosen. Or you can just have them all empty, and you can let the person choose whatever one they want. All right, and let's say I also want to have them select how they would like to be contacted. Would they like to be contacted via phone, email, etc.? In that case, I would choose a checkbox. So I'll drag the checkbox over. Again, works the same way. Field label, how do you want to be contacted? Contacted. And then the choices can be phone, email. Oops. Oh, and so that I accidentally deleted a choice, and you can do that by clicking the minus button. So you want to make sure you don't click the minus button. If you want to add a new choice, you click the plus button. Email, email, or last choice, carrier pigeon. You know, some folks are old school, and they they want to get you know, some of your clients are outdated and they can only get carrier pigeon messages. Okay, so do you want that required? I will say no, I don't necessarily care if I know how they want to be contacted, but if they want to give me that information, they can. So I will not have that be a required field. And finally, let's say I just want to get some general information from them. I can have a paragraph text, and then I can just ask them, you know, if they have any additional comments, and have that be required or not. I'll have that not be required. Okay, so once my form is all set up, there's still a few things I need to do. Under form settings, I want to give the form a title. That way I can recognize the form in the list of the different forms I create to choose it when I want to insert it into a page. So in this case, this is going to be my customer intake form. I can give a form description. This is only used in the back end, so I can choose whether or not I want to show this or fill this out. Really no reason to fill it out. The button text. So this is the submit button, what it's going to say. So in this case, instead of submit form, I might just say something like send. Make that very simple. Okay, this is important. Once someone sends the form, what do you want to have happen? By default, it's going to show a message saying something like, thanks for submitting the form, whatever you fill out in this box. Or you can have it redirect them to another page on your website after they fill out the form. So they fill out the form, they click the submit button. After they click the submit button, you can have it redirect to another page on your website if you have some kind of additional information you want to get from them, or you have some additional information you want to give them, you can have it redirect them to that particular page. For this form, I'm just going to show some text. The text is going to say, thanks for filling out our form. Someone will be in touch with you soon. The next option underneath that is called pause form. What this does is it will pause your form, so your form is still visible on the front end of your website, but when someone fills it out and tries to send it, it's not going to work. Instead, if I click yes, instead it's going to show them whatever message you fill out here. In this case, it says this form is paused right now, check back later. This is good if you have, for example, an event that you want people to register only during certain times. Then you could come in here and instead of just getting rid of the form, you can pause it and then unpause it when you want it to be available again. But we're not going to pause this form. Okay, and then the final thing you want to set up is form notifications. So keep in mind that by default, when someone fills out these custom forms, it does not notify you. In this case, what it does is it just captures that information on the back end, and then you can come in and log into the dashboard and look and see who has filled out your form. And that's good if you expect like tons of people to be filling out the form, then you won't get spammed with a bunch of email. But in this case, if it's a client registration form or something that you might not remember to come back to the website to check, then you want to click on form notifications here. And for send email notifications, you want to say yes. And here's where you fill out the information about how you want to get notified. You can say what email address you want to get notified on. In this case, I'll have it be mail@techsitebuilder.com. The from email address, okay, this is important. So how do you want the email to be shown as coming from? Now, normally, if somewhere in the email you require them to, or somewhere in the form you require the person to fill in their email address, then you want to use that email address as the from address, because that way when the email notification comes to you, you can just click the reply button in your email program and it'll send the reply to the person who filled out the form. Otherwise, if you don't do this, then you're going to have to type up a new reply email and manually fill out their information in the to field. So in this case, what I'd want to do is select either a custom email address or the form something from the form field. So when I click form field, it says, what do you want to pull the from email address dynamically from? In this case, I want to pull it from, it only gives me one option because there's only one email option in my form. If you have multiple email options, multiple email fields in your form, then it'll give you some different choices here. But in this case, I only have one choice. Then you can say, what do you want the from name to be? In this case, it would be a good idea, since name is required, that we'll use this name to be the from name. So I'll choose form field and I'll say I want name1, again, the only choice, to be the name of the person that sent the email. Okay, underneath that, we can choose the email subject. So do we want the subject to be default, in which case it's going to, I believe, pull the title of the form. So whatever you titled the form up in the form settings, it's going to use that title. Otherwise, you can create your own custom subject or use a form field as the subject. In this case, I'm just going to have a custom subject, and it's going to say something like new client submission. Okay, so now I have my form is all set. I've got the notification set up and everything's looking good. So now I'm going to come over here to the lower right corner and click Save Form. Once the form is saved, you'll see the screen flash, and then you can go ahead and exit out of the pop-up. And now you'll see in your form screen here, you'll see a preview of the form you just created. And then underneath that, you'll see a list of all the submissions that have been submitted. So again, if you choose not to have the email submissions get sent to you directly, you can log into the dashboard, come to your form screen, and look to see who has submitted and all the different information that they've submitted. And then from that, you can export the information or do some other things with that information. Okay, so now that we have the form set up, we want to enter it in a page. So I'll go ahead and go to my Pages menu. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new page for this form. So I'll click Add New. This will be New Client Info. And then within the content of the page, all I need to do is click the Add Form button. And what it's going to do is it's going to pop up a new form builder screen. So I can actually, from within the page, I can construct my form. But since we already created it, I just click the existing forms link up here at the top. And then there's my customer intake form that I can click on. Once I click on that, it loads up the form so that I can make further edits to it if I want to. But if I'm happy with it, then I can just come down to the bottom here and click Insert into Post. Now you see the form is inserted into my post here. And I'm all set. And that's really all I need to do. So now I'll just go ahead and publish this page. And then I'll view the page on the front end. So this is what the page looks like on the front end. I've got the form with all of the fields that I had set up in the form builder. So let me go ahead and do a quick test here to make sure that it works. I'll fill in, let me fill this in as another person. So it's Bob User. The email address is going to be bobuser@bobuser.com. So that way, this will be the address that I could reply to when the message comes to me. The address, 123 Any Street. The phone number, I'll put in something that isn't valid, like the word phone number. That's not going to be an actual phone number, to see what happens when someone doesn't fill that out properly. How did you hear about us? Through the website or through a referral. I can only choose one because, again, it's a radio button option. So I'll say I heard about it through the website. And how do I want to be contacted? I prefer phone or a carrier pigeon. And any additional comments, I can't wait to work with you all. And then I can click send. Now it's telling me some information is required, and it will give them a red error underneath the fields that they need to fix. So that makes it really easy. So they say, oh, I need to fill in the address, any town, zip code 90210. Phone number is not a valid phone number. Oops, okay. So in that case, I will put in a valid US phone number. Let me try to submit it now. All right, good to go. And then I get the message saying, thanks for filling out the form. Someone will be in touch with you soon. And then I can go to my email of choice. And in this case, I'm going to pull it up here. That, yep, I got the email. And here's all the information from Bob User. The email was Bob User. And you'll notice in the, if I were to reply to this email, if I were to click reply, then it's going to get sent to the email address that was filled out in the form. So that's how that works. The address is there. All that information is there. It also lets you know what page the form was filled out on and the IP address of the person who submitted it. So there you go. That is how you can set up a custom form in TechSite Builder.